As soon as you press the start broadcast button, my cat walked in and meowed.
I caught that through the mic as well.
Yeah, he's just like, I want some attention now. Where are you?
Who touched a thermostat?
Oh, he's here. No, he's right under my chair too. Oh, righty then. We'll have a slight little Ace Ventura moment as we head to Google. Like, you know what comes up when you Google Unicron?
No, what comes up when you Google?
No, good. You know, someone answered eventually. And people also ask, is Unicron evil? Yeah,
Probably.
Is Unicron a Decepticon? Probably not.
Absolutely
Who built
not.
Unicron? Whoever asked that question is in for a massive disappointment. And is Unicron in Transformers The Last Night? Also a massive disappointment. Hello, and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We're bringing you Transformers news that might have a slightly Unicron theme this week from around the world and around the planet and around the planet Eater. This week is episode 196. We are recording live on Monday, the 29th of July, 2019. It's a special edition Monday night podcast. We will be talking about Unicron, and I believe Unicron. Yeah, I'm being told Unicron as well. And there'll be a few other figures that came up at SDCC. It's been a while, and this is the first time we've had a chance to get together and chat about it. All that and more is coming up after this. Welcome to the show. I am Jason. Joining me this week, we have the Australian Transformers Weekly Classic Edition with myself, Brad, and Max. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Been doing all right?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Max, I've seen your photos from up a mountain.
Yeah, went up the mountains again. I've become like that. I've become one of those people who go skiing every year, but I do it really cheaply, so I don't feel bad about it.
Well, there's figures to buy.
Yeah, of course. You got to prioritize, you see.
No, yeah. So you do the shit version of skiing so that you can buy the shit version of figures.
Yeah, skiing, food, it's all pales in comparison to what's actually important in life.
Pot noodles?
Yeah, of course. It's
Yes.
gourmet.
So none of that gourmet shit. I must confess I've been having a bit of a cheap couple of weeks in terms of meal preparation as well myself. I have discovered the wonder that is a frozen bag of dim sims and warming them up in the microwave on a cold winter's afternoon. Can't beat it for a nice little snack, nice and easy to do. And the only way you could beat them is possibly steaming them instead of microwaving them. But who's got time for that?
No, they get cooked here a lot of the time in the microwave.
Yeah,
Put a blood wrap over them and they steam in there.
Yeah, it's like steaming them. It's fine.
Yeah.
People who are listening to the podcast from outside of Australia are just like, why the fuck you put dim sims in a microwave? Whatever. Anyway, I will also point out that the pork dim sims are good. The chicken dim sims leave a little to be desired. That is the quick lightning review. Brad, how are you doing? You've been out and about in Shepparton the last couple of days of the weekend.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's nearly been a year since I've been to a convention, both for a personal visit or to represent the club. And this last week, Nerdmania come around again, and it was their 5th year and their biggest year yet. So it's good to see that's growing. And getting to meet a lot of people, getting the figures out. Very select, a lot of figures this time because my van sold a couple of weeks ago. So I had to cram all that stuff into a very small space with a display case anyway.
I know a little bit about cramming things into a small space in here at the moment. Oh dear. Max, I think you might be the only one who has a full-size display going at the moment.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, no, that's not true. Brad's got stuff out in the shed.
Display. You have a full-size display. It's just a pile of boxes next to it.
That's true. Yeah.
A nice little ramp for the cat to get up there onto the shelves.
Believe me, he doesn't need one. So I haven't finished, obviously, putting together the displays in the study, but I have noticed that on the bottom shelf, like I know why in the old place I put boxes and things in boxes on the bottom shelf, and I'd forgotten that when I was throwing some stuff together in my new place. And then I realized yesterday when I was looking around, I'm like, why have all the figures on the bottom shelf been knocked over? The cat has been wandering through the bottom shelf and knocking things over as he goes. Is he still behind me?
There's only one suspect.
He's always behind you.
No, there's two suspects, right? Because there's a dog as well. But the dog is asleep in his room at the moment, so like he's probably not going to come over here. Anyway, so Nerdmania being done. What is next on the club's agenda, Brad? We've got we've got elections coming up.
Yeah, it's membership stuff's packs are going out. Emails will go out the first week or next week of August for those that signed up in July. You'll be in the giveaway for the Amazon exclusive Nemesis Prime from Power of the Primes, the Voyager or Leader, whatever. I think it's a Leader actually.
He is an evolution leader.
That's the one. And yeah, after that we'll be calling for helpers election for the committee and looking at the birthday celebrations going forward. The
birthday party. So the club's birthday party is kind of like the Queen's birthday. It can happen whenever we feel like it. I think we've decided that we were going to do it on Australia Day this year, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't think it happened, though.
No, I'm not sure that it did either, because it turns out everyone gets busy on Australia Day. So like the Queen's birthday, we're just going to come up with another date and figure it out from there.
And like the Queen's birthday, you're welcome to take the day off work for it.
I agree. I agree. That's excellent permission giving there, Max. I approve.
Yeah, I approve. An employer would be a mug if he doesn't let you have the day off.
Something else that your employer might be a mug if he doesn't let you have.
Cool. That's a cue.
Brad's getting the screen share ready, and I'll just edit this part out. That's me.
Present to everyone.
You don't need that one.
Because I need that one. No. Oh, I need to get the other one.
Yeah.
Here we go. There we go.
It is the Chaos Bringer Unicron. While
we've had one.
Oh, look at yes, it has been a very chaotic fan base the last couple of weeks. Hasbro revealed at SDCC that their what do they call them? HasLab, their sort of experimental offshoot. There you go. There's their logo. HasLab has been working away in the background on a very big project. Unicron is HasLab's first Transformers project, and he is enormous. He stands 70 centimeters tall in robot mode. I'm not sure whether that's toe to horn tip or if it's just sort of to the top of his head or not. But he's huge. He's huge. You can probably slow down on the photos there, Brad.
I'm just trying to find one that gives some scale.
There's one next to Fort Max.
There you go. No, that'll do. That'll do.
Yeah.
The one that we're looking at now, it's got two fully grown men sitting there with Unicron on a table, and he is standing up to their shoulder.
Have you ever seen a koala? It's bigger than that.
He's probably also just as likely to bite you. In fact, yes, definitely he is, because he has teeth in his mouth as well. So this guy is extremely detailed. There's lots and lots of photos of prototype bits and pieces coming up there. Product not final. I like that. That's useful. So Hasbro has announced that Unicron is a crowdfunding project by HasLab. Now they need to get 8,000 people to back this project by the end of August at a price of a whopping $575. He is the biggest and most expensive Transformer ever created, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're not going to make their crowdfunding project. They're not going to make their crowdfunding goal, because they are currently at about, I think, what are we, 2 or 3 weeks into the project? They're at 2,000 backers.
Oh wow!
Now,
it's not happening.
No, it's not. It's not happening. That's it. Unicron's done. Let's move on to the next story.
I mean, the figure's happening, obviously. how it happens.
No, so this is an interesting thing. The crowdfunding has drawn a lot of criticism because it is US and Canada only, and there are various reasons for that, right? Hasbro obviously doesn't want to have to figure out international logistics for shipping out this gigantic motherfucking piece of plastic.
Well, it's buying a plane ticket.
Oh, well,
Really?
that's kind of the thing. You might as well just fly over and get them to ship it to your hotel if you're there temporarily. But it's drawn a lot of criticism because there is the rest of the planet, and Hasbro's really been fobbing off complaints about the US and Canada only. Just to pause for a minute, there's a good comparison there. Fort Max, previous largest transformer ever, 23 inches tall. Unicron, 27 inches tall, over 27. So it looks like he's about sort of head and shoulders above Fort Max, and then there's all the pointy bits that sit on top as well.
And that's just height, not width too. Like he's probably 3 Fort Maxes wide by the time you add the ring in. Probably
a little. Oh yeah, definitely with the wings and stuff. Oh, yeah. So to go back to this, right? So Hasbro's drawn a lot of criticism because basically they need to crowdfund this from 8,000 sales to US and Canadian fans only, and those of us who are willing to sort of go out on a limb and crowdfund it and figure out how to forward it through our freight forwarders. The short version is that they're not going to do it. They're not going to get 8,000 people. If they've managed to get 2,000 now, I don't think they're going to get to 8,000. Most crowdfunding projects get most of their backers in the opening and closing hours of their project. So what we can expect to see in the lead up to the end of this is that Hasbro, who has already gone out and they've gotten a lot of publicity on their Unicron project. It's been all over sites like Gizmodo and Kotaku and a lot of places that don't traditionally cover Transformers news. They've had pictures of Unicron and stuff because it's at SDCC, so you may as well. But I don't think they're going to make it. People are saying that, well, if they were open to shipping it internationally and taking money from international fans, they might make it to 8,000, and I think it's very likely that they might if they were to do that. I wonder if we might see a bit of an opening of the floodgates to non-US orders in the next few weeks. Price-wise, though, let's have a bit of a look at what goes on around the web. So Hasbro Pulse, which is the place that you log in if you want to back the HasLab crowdfunding, it is $575 to back it, and you have to pledge the full amount by the end of August. Now, that's $830. That is a lot of money. A lot of people they can't suddenly drop almost $1,000 on a figure within the space of a month or so. Hasbro Pulse also will not ship outside of the US, but you can, of course, try and back it from a freight forwarder and figure it out from there, or get someone to ship it for you. Look, there's probably lots of people who'd be happy to receive a 9-kilogram package of Unicron and forward it onto you. If you want to back it and you've got a little more money than sense, Big Bad Toy Store has it listed at $775. Yeah. Now that is an eye-watering difference. That is $1,120 Australian. Now there is an advantage to this, however, though, because depending on your views on online transactions, giving your money to Big Bad Toy Store might be a little bit safer than backing a crowdfunding that is not going through a recognized crowdfunding platform, although I doubt that Hasbro is going to nick off with everyone's money. However, Big Bad Toy Store requires $150 deposit, so it's less initial outlay for you. They take on the financial risk of what might happen over the next year or so. It is, however, undoubtedly way more expensive. That's a $200 premium over the crowdfunding. Now, in the meantime, Takara Tomy Mall has been announced as the only official non-US way to back this. Not even to back, but to pre-order the figure, and it's sort of a good halfway point between the Hasbro price and the Big Bad Toy Store price. It's 75,000 yen. That comes out to about $900. Now, again, one of the good things about Takara Tomy Mall is that you don't actually need to pay until it's closer to the shipping time. What's not clear, though, is whether or not doing a pre-order on Takara Tomy Mall is in fact the same thing as adding one to that back account on Hasbro Pulse. Now, there is, since we wrote this for the weekend show, there has been one more retailer that's entered the fray. That is Robot Kingdom. Now, Robot Kingdom is advertising the figure at US $585, which is a $10 premium over Hasbro's crowdfunding price. That's pretty good. Robot Kingdom is known to have pretty terrible shipping prices to Australia, though. However, I do think that what they're probably going to end up doing is just chucking it over to a courier. So you'll probably pay by volumetric size and weight of the box. So you probably are not likely to get screwed too badly, or at least any more than everyone else. So Robot Kingdom might be a good place to go. Now, if you're worried that you can't scrape together the $800 to $900 before the end of August, then pre-ordering from a retailer might be a way to go, and that's what I'm thinking of doing as well. So I am straight out. I'm straight up not really going to buy it, but I am thinking maybe I'll buy it. I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys think, Brad? Max, are you likely to jump on the Unicron train? Are you going to get on the U train, the U-Bahn?
I wish I was, to be honest. I mean, because it's an impressive looking figure, and I'm not entirely opposed to the idea of a price or the crowdfunding thing. I think it's not the greatest situation in the world, but I'm not inherently against it.
I don't think the price
for me
is
personally, it is a prohibiting factor that I just can't. I just can't do it, really, and I'm never going to be able to do it.
Brad?
A few are forgetting back when we got Metroplex and a lot of the Titans that come out. They were really on the edge of how much it was costing to build or to make those figures. And once they all went on clearance, there was no money coming into Hasbro at all for those. They've tried it before with their Metroplex.
I want to stop you there, actually, because I am not of the opinion that Titans are that expensive for Hasbro to produce versus the amount of money that they get from selling them. If you recall last year, we managed to get a bit of a look at how much Maya pays for Trypticon, for which they charge $300 unless he's on clearance for $150. But even that was a 100% markup from their buy price at $77.
Yeah.
I think Hasbro makes plenty of money off the Titans. And I think unless they are going out at absolute bargain basement prices, which retailers will not let them go unless they're making money on them. Unless they're really going out at absolute bargain basement prices, I think Hasbro's doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And Takara tried this before with their Metroplex when they were going to, because their version they were going to try and re-release it as well, and it didn't work. But he looks good.
Yeah,
I get the price for the size, considering it's only a couple $100 more than MP 10 V2, whatever 36 is, or 46, whatever we're up to now. But I don't even have anywhere I'd put him.
So you've got a whole shed.
I don't think the roof would hold the weight.
Well, I was going to say, like, you could literally suspend him from the roof of your shed, and like you could recreate so many scenes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I wish the reissue Unicron that came out last year or the year before it actually got here, so I could have a version of Unicron, but it won't be this one now. We might get to some other stories later that have a Unicron I might be able to get, but just the price and the dealing with having to get it aren't something I'm really actively going to be chasing at the moment.
Yeah, look, getting him here is kind of annoying. You've got a couple of options if you go via. So if you go via Big Bad Toy Store, you could again ship to a freight forwarder, but you will at least benefit on not having to pay the full amount right off the bat. Yeah. If you go via Robot Kingdom, you're probably just going to have to wear whatever shipping they have, but they also have the cheapest buy price. And if you go via Takara Tomy Mall, they will only ship in Japan, but you could try going via a freight forwarder like Treasure Japan, whom I've used before and I quite like. So there's a few options there. There's one other massive thing that we need to talk about with the massiveness that is Unicron. He is not coming out this year. He's also not coming out next year. if this actually gets backed and goes to production, we will not see it until 2021. So, might I sit here, and this is why I'm thinking of backing it, right? Might I sit here and just go, nah, I've got no room in the study. I might not be in this study by the time we come to 2021, and when it comes time for Unicron to ship, I might not be in this room. I might hopefully not be in this house. But like, I will hopefully have a better room to display things in and house my collection. So, like, it's entirely possible that by that time I will have a place for Unicron.
Yeah, man.
Brad could put up an extra shed in the time between Unicron being backed and shipping. What do you say, Brad?
Space shed.
It's a hard judgment call to make, because it's part of a whole. You're supposed to put a lot of faith, and it's part of Hasbro asking quite a lot here. Where
Hasbro are asking quite a lot of fans, aren't they?
Yeah, you are. You're having to invest. You're having to throw down all that money, like in August, right? So get it all together by then. But still do that with a knowledge that it's going to take 2 years for it to come out. And so it's hard. I mean, I don't even know why it's taken 2 years, to be honest, because it looks pretty done.
So, I think what we're looking at is pretty clearly prototypes, right? They said that they've spent at least 18 months on this already. And in fact, Brad, if you can just open up one of those pictures at the top left there. There you go. So they also had this awesome little floating Unicron head above their stand at SDCC. It's almost the thing that everyone wants to see, is the floating Unicron head circling Cybertron. Look, Hasbro is asking a lot of fans here, and I think in many cases in many ways they're really testing the waters to see just how far they can actually push their fans. I've been saying for a while that I think there's room for something that sits above the Masterpiece line in terms of collectibles, and maybe this is it. I mean, look, they've pushed the Masterpiece line into the stratosphere anyway, but what could go above Masterpiece except Unicron himself? I mean, he's even basically in scale with the Masterpiece lines almost. Do you remember, like a while ago, we were talking about what would happen if someone produced a 2-scale Unicron, and we said it would basically be the size of your doorway. This is not far off. He is 70 centimeters tall. That's basically 1/3 of my height. That's a little bit more than 1/3 of my height, in fact. But like, he's like a child. Like you said, Max, he's like a koala bear. An angry, spiky, grey and orange, an angry, spiky, grey and orange koala bear.
So it's not that different to the real ones, then.
No.
And as a world's smallest collector, it's very tempting.
So let's just talk about a couple of the features on him, right? So the mouth that you've got on the screen there, or was on the screen there, just bring that one back up. So the mouth, the eating apparatus by which you feed Unicron planets, or like smaller Transformers. Apparently, every single tooth in that mouth has its own individual gear.
Yeah, that's kind of pretty impressive.
Ponder that for a minute, right? Like, there's an individual gear on every single one of those teeth. If you prefer the Marvel Comics look for Unicron, where he has quite pronounced teeth, which he did not have in the movie, you can flip the teeth back in the mouth to hide them. They've thought of so many details with this as well, and I also love the fact that unlike the Unicron toys that we've had, the Armada Unicron being sort of the most famous, this one is a full sphere. So like there's plenty of issues with actually trying to fit a Transformer inside a sphere. So like it's pretty impressive. You can see there some of the work on the teeth around the gaping maw that is Unicron, and also them trying to hold him together as well.
Joints are popping.
Yes, but I mean the sheer engineering that's gone into this figure is mean, it's practically unparalleled. This is the kind of thing that we used to dream of figures like this when we were younger. If you remember the G1 Unicron that went unreleased, and we might look at that and just go, haha, he doesn't look a thing like Unicron and stuff, but he still would have been huge, and he would have dwarfed every other Transformer in your collection, and you would have loved it for that. And now here we are in 2019 with engineering capabilities of building toys that look so much more accurate and so much closer to what we saw on screen in the movie, with all this additional detail as well, all these lines and stuff that can be painted. And really is a feat of engineering. I think I'm convincing myself to buy the bloody thing.
Well, even looking at the scale and what they're actually doing here, sort of price-wise, you're looking at the high-end 3A statues and the detail they have. Where here, because it's a G1 character, you don't need to be as super detailed as a movie figure. But it transforms, and it's a little bit under the price. Or even the Prime 1 stuff, again, you're sort of reaching the height of some of those statues with the robot mode, but it's half the price and it transforms. So I don't think there's any argument from me that the price isn't worthy of it. It's just when you start getting figures this big, as we see with them trying to keep it together, that it suffers under its own weight a little bit. But yeah.
So speaking of suffering under his own weight, I noticed at SDCC the robot mode required the stand, and I was wondering whether or not that would actually be required. It turns out the answer is no, he can stand on his own, but they didn't want him to fall over if anyone ran into the cabinet.
Well, and prototype too. I'm sure there was some joints that weren't quite holding it together as much as they like.
Almost certainly, yes.
It'd be interesting to see how something of that size does hold itself up even when the final thing comes out.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of bulk. If you just go to that photo on your bottom right there, Brad, up in the middle now. Next one to the right. Yeah. Even so, oh god, look at that! But look at that. Just look at that. So there's plenty of bulk in those legs to hold him up.
Yeah, it's a good decision to concentrate the kibble onto those lower legs.
Yeah, I agree. So there's been a bit made about his back and the fact that he's got a bit of a backpack on him, but like I don't know anyone to whom that's actually important. There you go. That's 1902.
It's fine. You're going to take a robot mode that obviously doesn't turn into a sphere and make it turn into a sphere. He also has to change his dominant color, so it makes sense that that's going to be there.
And if you're already complaining about the $800, if you want more of that stuff to disappear, add another zero or two to the price.
Very true.
It's interesting. Speaking of the transformation, like it's clear that they have so much love for this project. Like I think there's a video floating around somewhere of John Warden on the show floor, I think it was, talking about how they like specifically designed it so that his arms would come out from the back of the planets because that's how they did it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just little things like that. It's like clear they really have a passion for it.
Yeah. So I started down on this line, I thought earlier, but unlike the Unicron that we got in, say, I think it was 2002 in the Armada line, this guy's actually a full sphere. The old Armada Unicron and all of his repaints have only sort of been about a half sphere, and you just sort of like sit it down and have it look like a popcorn maker. A grey and orange spiky popcorn maker that wants to tear your face off, but a popcorn maker nonetheless. And so, yeah, the amount of engineering that goes from the previous best effort that we had at making Unicron into this, wow, it's just astonishing.
Yeah, it shows you the difference, I suppose, and also it's remarkable that it's taken this long to actually update it.
Yeah, but as you said, this is going to be an ongoing story for the next 3 years.
I think that's Brad giving us the wind up. Do you want to jump over 4 tabs on your browser there, Brad? Next, yeah, that'll do. Yep. So with one Unicron comes plenty of others, and we have now heard that while there's a lot of interest in Hasbro's Unicron, some of the let's call them KO makers. They're not third parties. These guys are the KO makers. They've taken the old Unicron mold and they're like, fuck it, let's upscale that. So they're going to make a 72 centimeter Armada Unicron. Now, how big is the Armada Unicron anyway? He's like 30 or 40, isn't he, or something?
It's about leader class size. I remember.
Yeah.
Like, well,
He's leader
old
class?
leader,
No.
old leader class size.
All right.
You know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like he's
So
not
if you
30.
need to specify.
Yeah, he's probably is about 30 centimeters. I don't know, but yeah, he's a big boy, and they're basically going to double the size, make some mold enhancements, and yeah, it should be pretty interesting. But I mean, he's not going to be a HasLab. He's not going to be a HasLab figure.
No, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be the same level of engineering or accuracy.
Well, it'll be at the exact same level of engineering as the 2002 Armada.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be price for whoever is considering this. It's going to be price ultimately.
That's true.
You know, is the discount significant enough that you want someone that's going to be obviously quite inferior?
Yeah, I'd hope there's some ratchets being added to every joint.
I seem to recall that the Armada Unicron was pretty well ratcheted.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never really dealt with it or handled it, so I don't know the QC on it or any of that. But
I'll have to get it down off the shelf at my parents' place at some point and find out.
As a cheaper alternative, although we're saying cheaper, yes, it will be cheaper than the HasLab one, but how cheap exactly, we'll find out.
$565.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Oh, I was going to say I'd probably pay for the HasLab one.
Yes. So no word on who the KO manufacturer actually is, but yeah, there have also been a number of jokes go around that so Hasbro's obviously already created the designs and the mold for Unicron. So if their crowdfunding doesn't go ahead, then someone could hack into Hasbro and steal the designs, pass them over to Wei Jiang, and get yourself a cheaper Unicron anyway. But yeah, I mean, look, the joke there is, of course, they are the same company in the first place, but whatever. All right. Let's move on from this. There is one other Unicron story that has been making its way around this week, and that is Zeta Toys has been teasing the existence of another Cron.
Unicron Wars.
Yes, it's a Cron war.
Coming free.
So there's been a bunch of figures, a bunch of pictures released by Zeta. But then there's also been a bunch of renders making their way around without Zeta's name attached that purport to show a Unicron that's pretty kibble free. Now, we saw the amount of kibble that was attached to the HasLab Unicron, and like we don't really see a way that you can make Unicron without a bunch of kibble for his planet mode, unless you don't make a full sphere or anything like that. So a number of us, when these renders came out, said if the renders actually do show anything that Zeta Toys is working on, because the renders were actually attributed. Do you have the renders on here at all, Brad?
No, not on this story.
Oh.
There.
There we are. Yeah. So these renders don't have Zeta's name on them, but they have been attached to a digital artist who posted them on his site earlier in the year. And so it's entirely possible that what we're looking at here is just some 3D modeling. There's a number of things that are wrong about this Unicron versus the official design or anything like that. He looks really nice. He looks really clean. He's missing wing spikes. He's missing some pretty big horns. He's also missing an entire fucking planet.
That we can see. I posit that maybe they're going for a Tomorrow Never Dies, where he's got an inflatable backpack that actually comes out and
oh, that would be amazing. It would also basically make Unicron Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
And
then those spikes goes for a pop. It's a one-time use.
Yes, yeah. Deploy once. The other option is that he's an action master. He's an action master who folds over, and then you just form a planet around him.
Yeah, I don't know where the planet comes from.
Yeah, no one knows where the planet comes from. There's a figure standing in front of him that doesn't look like any figure we've seen, but like, there's a lot of detail here. But I honestly, I don't think we're actually looking at a figure. I feel like we're just looking at someone's rendering project.
Yeah, just because there's such a lack of actual joints on the model itself, and none of it seems quite plausible.
Could you create a robot mode Unicron and then a planet mode Unicron and sell it as a 2-pack for the same price without having the engineering involved of transformation?
I don't think it
depends how big it is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to that lamp because I know there was a planet mode.
Yes, it's an interesting point. There was a Unicron lamp a couple of years ago that was available as both robot and planet mode, and I believe you had to choose. You didn't get both.
No.
So yes, maybe we're looking at something like that. It is interesting to see what on Unicron, on the official Unicron, is different to this one as well. Which initially, if you scroll back up a little bit, I looked at the mouth design there and thought, oh, that's really quite poor. But it turns out that's actually more accurate to the cartoon. In the cartoon, he had a much more sort of just triangular horns that opened around the mouth instead of all of these teeth. So that's actually a little bit more accurate there, the representation of his mouth there. But and if you scroll down back down a couple of photos, apparently the saying is that is actually the central torso for one of the Zeta toys, Bruticus. And so that is showing just the scale of Zeta's figure, which again is not necessarily the same as these renders or even a thing.
Well, that'd put these Galvatron Megatron a lot bigger than Masterpiece scale.
So I actually think you'd do well. Like if Hasbro was going to like pack in figures, they could just pack in almost a couple of the little decoy size figures or the Mega SCF size with Unicron of Megatron and Galvatron. That would be really cool. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what Zeta Toys is playing at. If you scroll back up to the top where they've actually got their branding on the images, I think what we're really looking at here, keep going, yeah. I think what we're really looking at here is that these are pieces of the shell that would form the planet around him. And so I don't think we're looking at something that is not parts forming. I think this is all detaching and becoming armor or something. But yeah, whatever it is, I'm not really quite sure what's going on with it.
They look a lot narrower than what the big sections on the HasLab one were. Whether they panel form like a G1 Omega and just clip on his back, or if you just take the pieces off and sit them aside. Yeah,
it's pretty hard to tell, isn't it? Look, this is again also something that's going to go on for a number of weeks and months and possibly years until this comes out. So like, we don't need to solve everything this week. I think Zeta's probably enjoying having a little bit of time spoiling some of Hasbro's fun. But I also don't think people are not backing the Hasbro one because Zeta's doing a Unicron.
No. The best they can do here is sort of jump on a bit of the popularity at the moment of, hey, everyone's doing Unicron.
Yeah, very much. I'm not sure that we've got that much more to say about the Unicrons. What do you think?
Just need to give it a couple of weeks to see what comes out of these other ones as well. I think by then we'll know for sure what the HasLab outcome has been.
Yeah, so end of August is the official end to the HasLab crowdfunding. So we'll see what happens. There's a bit of a thought that we're going to see this figure come to market anyway, even if it doesn't reach its crowdfunding total, which does tend to make a mockery of the crowdfunding process if that's what actually happens. But also, I think there's enough fans that are interested in it that they will be happy to sort of figure out how to fork out for it if the figure actually does come to pass. Maybe he'll be a custom order. Maybe who knows? There might be something that'll go on. All right. Let's move on to some other SDCC news, shall we? And that is these guys that I am absolutely chomping at the bit waiting for. Hasbro opening up the SDCC figure account. I'm just going to say Comic-Con figure account. They announced some repaints of the Voyager class figures from Wave 1 of Siege. That is Optimus Prime and Megatron. They're doing animation color versions of those figures, and they are going to be Walmart exclusive. Now, we've seen a few figures come out with recently with cell shading on them in the Masterpiece line, or some KOs at least. People might implement their own cell shading paint, but these are official. They're made to look like they've just stepped out of an animation cell. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I want them both. I have not been very interested in. I've not been very interested in a lot of Siege figures because there's one more there, whatever. I've not been that interested in a lot of the Siege figures because I don't really like their paint job that looks like you just stepped in a pile of shit. And so the fact that these don't have those attributes, they're heavily painted, makes me way more interested in them. Also, I think they'll look good on a shelf.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nicer if we could see them in some color other than just CG renders, because I feel like you want to show off the actual paint scheme instead of just showing us a CG. But it's a promising idea, at least.
That's true. Look, so these figures are part of the 35th anniversary line. So like they are Siege figures, but they will have specific packing, and I believe those figures are due to come out around September. And hopefully you'll be able to find someone to nab them for me from Walmart and ship them over to me from the States. But they're also listed as slightly more expensive than standard Voyagers, which I guess is to be expected when you look at the paint job that's at play. Now, there is one other figure in here, if you just move one to the left, Brad, which is a Soundwave repaint as Sound Blaster, who is also a Walmart exclusive. He's basically a black Soundwave, but he does come with the shit paint job. Excuse me.
No, I'm not actively going after the Siege line, but that Megatron and Prime would be two. I'll be keen to pick up just to have some retail release cell shaded figures that I haven't paid money for someone to customize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the appeal is largely what you were saying there in terms of just having the cell shaded figures in a market that isn't just purely KOs of masterpieces. Because generally, if you want a cell shaded figure, it's this one very specific thing that I feel like a lot of people either, they're not as well versed in a lot of things as others might, so they don't really have access to it, or they know about it, but they feel they're iffy on morality of KOs, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of people aren't going to wind up buying those figures, whereas this provides an official avenue for it.
Well, I mean, the other problem that I have is that most of the third-party cell-shaded figures look shit. Like they do. They look like they're sitting. They look like they're sitting about 1 foot under the water, and that someone's shone a light down through the water on them. There's just way too much shading and shining on them. But these are a lot more restrained. They've obviously actually had like animated looks at these figures and how they look on film, and they're not just trying to make them look sort of like a cartoon. Like these are official references to them. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy looking at Prime and seeing the sort of the reflections in the windows and seeing how they flow onto the rest of the red on his body. And seeing how the red flows across the arms and across the legs as well. Like, it makes a consistent pattern, and I really like it.
Yeah, and unlike some of the KO ones and that, where they're just trying to do that to sell their shitty figures, this Prime is a good-looking Prime. Oh,
Siege Prime has been one of the best-received Primes in years.
Yeah, yep. If they'd done a joint release with Studio Series 38 in the same animated style, I'd be very happy, but I still need to find that figure on its own anyway.
Yeah, that would be interesting. There is a joint release of Studio Series 38 along with a more traditional movie prime, I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, sorry, that's the Takara Tomy one. That's a more there's a G1 prime that goes with him as well. So yeah, look, it's 2019. There's lots of Optimus Primes coming out. So yeah, let's move on. I'm very happy for the cell shaded figures. Now, here's a figure that I believe you guys spoke about a couple of weeks ago, the Siege version of Ratchet. Now, we've seen leaks of this guy over the last little while, and he's now gone official. He was officially announced at Comic-Con as a Walgreens exclusive, which is a little bit disappointing for those of us who aren't in the States with ready access to a Walgreens. However, he does appear to be coming out at Toys R Us stores in Asia. So if you're near Hong Kong at the moment, he's been cited a lot at Toys R Us stores in Hong Kong. He may end up at other Toys R Us stores around Asia as well. But yeah, if you're near Hong Kong, go for it. See how you go.
I wonder if that too would then get onto Amazon Japan or not.
So the thought is that it's a Toys R Us exclusive, so probably not.
Yeah, okay.
But if he's for general release in Asia, then it's possible that he would end up on Amazon Japan. But even that would be probably more expensive than shipping him from Hong Kong. The figure has turned up on eBay. Here's a really nice looking figure. They've taken the Ironhide mold and they've really owned it. They've laid a lot of paint on him, and that blue window, as you were saying in the pre-show, Brad, that blue window really, really does make the figure. Along with that head sculpt, I like the head sculpt with the crest on it. And so, if you absolutely must have him, you can fork out about $70 and get him shipped from Hong Kong now. I know people whose Ratchets should be showing up sometime this week.
Yeah, it's impressive just how much they've been able to work with the mold, and taking a Ratchet from an Ironhide it doesn't sound like it doesn't seem like something that would often be impressive, I suppose, because it's quite simple really, but they've only done a really good job here in just honing the mold in a sense, and really just evoking the character. The Walgreens exclusive thing is a shame. I would have hoped that Hasbro's particular tendency to lump fan favorite characters in as Walgreens exclusives was going to be limited to Marvel stuff, as it has been for a while, but now it appears it's making its way over here, which is not exactly good news, but you can generally get a hold of these fairly easily, albeit for fairly high price.
So Titan's Return Brainstorm ended up as a Walgreens exclusive as well. He ended up not that hard to get a hold of, mainly because he went shell forming in Malaysia. But yeah, look, in the initial days of release, he's probably going to be mainly in the US, but the fact that he's already turned up in Toys R Us probably gives us a bit of hope.
I'd always forget that thing actually came out as a Walgreens exclusive.
Yeah. Let's move on. Ratchet is coming. We'll figure out how to get a hold of him. I am looking forward to getting a hold of him. So something I'm less enamored about is the Siege Rainmakers 3-pack. It's a triple pack of Voyager figures in yellow, blue, and green colors, just like the Rainmakers from the cartoon. And they are the Cybertron mode Tetrajets that have been fairly well received as a part of the Siege line. I'm not really in love with them myself, and I do find that the colors are possibly a little bit too bright. But we are looking at Nova Storm, Acid Storm, and Ion Storm. It's been a while since we've seen official figures of these characters. I think Acid Storm and Ion Storm last had their outings in the Generations Classic Seekers line. And Nova Storm, I'm not sure how long it's been since we've.
Well, I think we got the we got that little Legends Acid Storm in Generations, and I think that was the last one.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was around Combiner Wars time.
Yeah, but then Iron Storm and Nova Storm, they only got names like last year or year before, like official names. So there was that classic Seeker Mold BotCon 3-pack.
Yes. Which it turned out was actually inaccurately named.
Yeah, and I don't believe... So Ion Storm wasn't present at all, and Nova Storm was labelled as Sunstorm. Yes. So it wasn't really a Rainmaker's 3-pack. It was just Sunstorm, Bitrum, and Hotlink.
Yes.
So this is the first outing for these two in particular in any capacity whatsoever. So obviously it's not something I'm getting because it's just free voyages, but I'm incredibly happy to see that it's actually happening.
Yeah, I picked up the Starscream the other day, more so just because it's a Tetrajet alt mode and not so much having another Starscream. And it's still amazing unless it's a more highly engineered movie figure. We just can't get rid of that robot mode in a plane.
You mean the undercarriage?
Yeah. Even the false chest on the back of the plane, back of it is just horrendous. I don't. If you're gonna do,
look, I'm not a huge fan. I don't own any of these molds. I'm not going to get the 3-pack. And if you look at the markings on them, I'm not going to get them, especially because, as I said, I don't really like the shit that looks like they've all stepped in. But look, go from that photo to the next one, and the markings are all in the exact same spot on every jet. They're just slightly different colors.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that disappoints me. I wish I had access to get Siege figures that did not have the shit all over them in terms of paint job, but we'll see how it goes.
It's maybe it kind of works here because the original 3 Rainmakers were typified by sort of, having these stark, just ultra bright colors. With nothing, like very simplistic color schemes with nothing to break them up at all. So maybe it works better here, but then it's also going against the whole appeal of those color schemes in the first place. So I don't know. Maybe
look, I would say it's so bad that Brad's already moved on.
Yeah. I'm just looking ahead.
Yes. So the other exclusive pack that we saw announced at SDCC, which is currently available at Target in the US, but it doesn't seem to be an exclusive. It's a Siege Micromaster 10-pack because we know that the little figures are some of the best that you can get in the line, and so a 10-pack of Siege Micromasters. There's a bunch of them that are repaints from readily available figures, but we're still looking at Road Police, Wheel Blaze, Ground Shaker, Overair, Rickon, Iron Shred, Night Flight, Sly Hopper, Crater Maker, and Fireline. Now, they're not all household names. Let's be honest, but
they're all wonderful names.
They are wonderful. They're wonderful figures,
especially Road Police.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that name.
I'm happy that we'll this leaves open the way for Air Police, River Police, Water Police. What?
Base Police.
Base Police. Yes, sure. But yeah, no, there's plenty of police variants that could come through after Road Police. It's a 10-pack of Siege Micromasters. The Micromasters are cool. They're a bit of fun to play with. So we've only actually had one pack of Micromasters hit most retail shelves here in Australia, and they're still, for the most part, on those shelves. It's the one with the police car and the fire truck, but I can't remember their names. But yeah, look, I would be looking forward to getting more of them. I'd happily have more figures on my shelf in little scales with Micromasters.
Yeah, great. If this is something that's easy to get, I'd be definitely down for getting all these guys.
Yeah. Max, your thoughts on Micromasters?
I'm not buying them, but I do love them.
Let's just go back one shot there, Brad. Just go back there. Don't you need a blue missile launcher?
I do.
I mean, I do.
I mean, I don't need a red car, but I do need a blue missile launcher.
I don't need a red car. What about a yellow car?
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's one in the background there.
Yeah, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I wish they'd paint them the same as the G1 variants because I've got the G1s.
So in general, the G1 colors are sort of in the individual packs.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But when we're not getting that many of them around Australia at the moment, so they can be a bit hard to come by.
Yeah, no, this sort of thing is for it's for a relative taking their kid to the shops and they buy them a pack of figures, and it doesn't matter if it's tiny little things. This kid's going to be really happy that they've got this box of 10 figures, right? That's why this exists.
Well, yeah, I was talking to a lot of people at Nerdmania just about the bot shot 5-packs and that. Just the way they've sort of put 5 different versions of bot shots in the one pack, and for $5 or $6 cheaper than buying them individually.
I wonder how much this is going to be, because like the current going price for Siege Micromasters is about $10 a head.
Uh-oh.
So like, is this in fact going to be a $100 set?
With exclusive packaging, probably 110.
Yes, we'll see. Let's move on to the next story, shall we? So, we have been wondering what would happen to Brunt, and it turns out that Brunt is fated for many greater things in the Transformers Siege line, such as becoming an Autobot and becoming a Power Dasher. Now, Power Dasher is important in Transformers fandom because while he was an adopted figure, there were multiple figures that were actually named Power Dasher that were released, and Hasbro to their credit, God love them, Hasbro didn't give a shit. They were just like, that's Power Dasher, and that other one, that's Power Dasher too. I think there was a story that Power Dasher was the most powerful Autobot ever, and he kept changing his form. So when you would mail away for a Power Dasher figure, then the next one came along, is because he's so powerful he turned from a car into a plane, or something like that. So we are getting a bit of a retool of Siege Brunt, as you can see in the figure on the right, who is cunningly named Power Dasher. He's got a black and a yellow look to him, and he's got that drill bit on his head that looks like someone has just patted that cap and it's gone just down a little bit further than he's comfortable with.
It looks so dumb, but
he
love it, don't you?
Like he only looks dumb because it looks like a dunce hat, right? Like
it's also his like weird little block grin there.
Yeah, no, but he looks great, right? Like he does look great. I'm really looking forward to getting this figure. Should we talk about the fact that the person who's taken the photo appears to be called Toys Walker Dick?
Is that a complaint?
I don't know. I'm not actually sure. So the other Power Dash we have here is a repaint of, I want to say, 6-gun. Yes. No, he's a repaint of 6-gun, Siege 6-gun. He may have more than 6 guns. We can neither confirm nor deny. But one thing that he does have is a giant clown red nose on his face, and he does actually look a little bit hilarious as a result.
The name of it completely... Pennywise, that's the one.
Yes, yeah. He looks a little bit like any clown, really. But I mean, Pennywise will be the one name that strikes fear into the heart of moviegoers everywhere. But he does look a little bit like a clown,
especially with the dark sort of set-in eyes, and looks like he's got sort of red eyes as well.
Do you know how it looks like he's dead?
Ricky.
So let's also just give some special mention. If you just stay on one of the photos there, let's just give some special mention. First of all, so this version of Power Dasher, he's predominantly black repaint of Cog, and he's got red highlights. So he's got red feet and sort of grey limbs. Not Cog, sorry, 6-gun. But my personal favorite thing about these photos is the Generations Select Megatron, Redwing, and Ricochet that you can see packed away in the background there. And now that's kind of a hint that these figures might end up as in the Generation Select line.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me the slightest. I mean, the first thing I noticed when I looked at this photo of Power Dasher here was that I just instinctively went, oh, they're redecoing Sideswipe. Because it looks the color scheme is
they've already
dead on to
redecoed Sideswipe into G2.
I know. I forgot about that for a second. It's like, oh, we're doing G2 Sideswipe.
Wait, we've already done
G2
Sideswipe.
Yeah,
we're doing it again.
Yeah. So this line has to end at some time, right? I was actually expecting that at Comic-Con we might have actually seen what's next, because Siege is part 1 of the War for Cybertron trilogy, and come December, January, they're going to want to move into part 2. So does that mean that the figures that we're seeing now are going to sort of like shuffle into part 2? We actually haven't even discussed the fan vote, which the winner of the fan vote that we talked about a few weeks ago was in fact Run Amok. And so we are going to get Run Amok as whatever comes next in the Siege line. I think they said Run Amok has stowed away on the Autobots arc. So we'll be getting a new figure of Run Amok, which of course means we'll get a new Runabout as well, and that's going to be coming next year. So at least this time next year, there's got to at least be a whatever part 2 of the War for Cybertron trilogy. So where did the rest of these figures fit in? Like, there's way too many figures that have just been revealed to actually just be a part of Siege. Like, some of them are going to have to go into part 2. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Is there a next story?
Are we talking Soundwave?
Why not?
All right.
Soundwave is making his way onto shelves now. So Soundwave was revealed earlier in the year as another Walmart exclusive G1 figure. If you know the right people to ask, you might be able to locate him at some of the Aussie importers. They've been managing to secure a bit of stock, but he is hitting store shelves now. And of course, like most G1 figures, you can see these instructions as completely, utterly on the wild inside the box there.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone. I'm sure there might be some out there, but G1 Soundwave, I've never seen one that has tight hips or good strong joints.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that. No, they haven't promised that for this one either.
Yeah, I know. If they're going off the original mold, then it might be a mold issue and not 35 years of play by children. But
I think the thing with Soundwave is that's the mold which they reconstructed from old copies of Soundwave, isn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me if it will retain those crappy hips.
Yeah,
I believe they reconstructed it from Sound Blaster, and then they've paired his chest back to a single cassette block. I'm not sure. That's what I heard. I'm not entirely certain. But this one does come with buzzsaw instead of Laserbeak, just in case you like your other bird tape.
Oh, what 86 movies did they watch?
What?
Don't worry.
Fair enough. And if you are in the market for more cassettes, Hasbro's got you covered for that as well.
Wink, wink.
Ding, ding. There we go. So Hasbro has released a 3-pack. They say 3-pack, but it's actually a 2-pack and a single pack. You get the former Japanese releases of Gurafi and Noizu and Frenzy. who there was a very, very detailed Reddit thread. Brad, can you zoom in on Frenzy there? Is it possible? That'll do. There was a very detailed Reddit thread about someone who was very concerned about Hasbro's QA process because Frenzy's legs are obviously assembled wrong in this photo.
Oh.
Because you can see the cassette tape cover on his legs, but not on his body because it's on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But
yeah.
Look, so I'm going to say when complaining about the fact that he's named Friends instead of Rumble, I don't care.
Well, I was
So no one really cares for the Rumble is red, Frenzy is blue argument, but they're very concerned about the fact that the thing is obviously the wrong way around. Apparently, more interesting is the characters that are over to the left of the shot, Garafi and Noizu. They're sort of Japanese cassette beasts. Turning into a pterodactyl and a dinosaur. they're cute, Af. They look great. Really looking forward to getting my hands on these because these are cassette bots that have been really rare for a number of years. And it's really good to see some reissues of them. They started playing with the reissues of the cassettes during 2018's Bumblebee promotion line in the Studio series. They packed in a couple of cassettes with Bumblebee. Obviously, they've proven popular enough for them to go ahead and do some more. I am told that there is going to be another wave with the other dinosaur cassettes to be reissued, and I believe Ravage or Laserbeak are the ones that the other figure that's coming with them.
Yeah, I'd love to have a little Grimlock-esque cassette.
I know he's really cute, isn't he?
It's going to sort of come out and become half 3D, where I could say the legs or the knees split apart for him to stand, but still.
Yeah, I don't think he's very 3D.
No.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing these guys come on release. They are shipping, I believe, early September from Hasbo Pulse. We don't know whether or not you're able to get them anywhere else. There have been a couple of Aussie retailers that have got them ready to sell on import though when that release date hits.
Yeah, $35 US doesn't seem too outrageously priced for them either.
Yeah, it's more than that when they get here.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh well. All right, and there's another photo. So that's Kapow Toys. Brad's just brought up on screen. Kapow Toys is confirming the second, the second wave, I think, and also showing. Is that a combined form of these guys? Is that what's going on?
Well, I'm still waiting for the first one to load. Thank you, incredibly slow internet. Might have to load these and show them next week.
Do you think they'll have finished loading in time?
Oh.
All right, let's keep going anyway. I think, in fact, is that it for news?
That might be us.
I think we've covered off the SDCC stuff fairly well. Yep. We're about done. So here we are. So we've run just over an hour, and I think we're about ready to finish things off. First of all, how about some new acquisitions? Max, have you got anything to show off?
Well, I figured it would be such a comfortable show length as we were that I decided not to buy anything for the past 2 weeks. So
yeah, look, I've been similarly afflicted, although I did actually submit an order on Hasbo Pulse. We'll talk about some of those things when they turn up, and they will be turning up before 2021.
I was going to say 2 years.
Yeah, I'm glad you said things instead of thing because I was about to get really worried.
Yeah.
Well, that's how he saved on postage. It's coming in pieces.
Yes. That might be a good way to. So there was a joke going around that if third parties do a Unicron, then they would have to, have we've ended up with what was it for Omega Supreme got sold in 2 pieces. Skylinks got sold in 2 pieces. My joke with Unicron was that if the third parties did it, it'd be like a fucking spreadsheet. It'd be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. It'd be right up to like BB in the spreadsheet rows and columns. So, I look forward to FT50BB.
There is, however, a nice cheap way people can go if they want a Unicron on their display. Go to get a bucket, fill it with sand, and then get 2 horns, just stick in the sand. And you have a last
night Unicron. Yes, very true. Very true.
Very cheap, very effective, and it's somewhere your cat can go if it needs to.
I feel. Am I the only person on this show that actually liked Unicron on last night? Just out of curiosity.
I like the concept. I just wish it had gone further.
Yeah.
So I like the concept. I wish it had gone further, but I'm also okay with it not.
Yeah.
So there we go. I also don't have any new acquisitions. Brad, how about yourself?
I've got nothing to share, but I could briefly run through some. Got the Siege Starscream, which is probably the only Siege figure I'm going to get in the long run, or for now. While I was at Nerdmania, went to the local Kmart and found, I keep calling it Bone Crusher, but it's the Rampage from Studio Series.
Oh, nice, yeah.
It's a fantastic bot. I was going to stay away from the Constructicons and only go third party, but they look so nice. So
Is someone making third-party Constructicons from the movies?
Yeah. Yep.
Who?
And it's another story we touched on last time. Me and Max were on. I'm not sure who they are, but it includes Wrecking Balls. You would have seen the memes probably.
I believe it was like a new company doing it as their first project.
Yeah, good luck.
But the figures look fantastic. But we can talk about that later. Small bots.
Wait, you bought more bots?
Yeah. Yep. After the Pokemon Gate, I got some more that don't look like Pokemon. And I think
see, this is how it starts, right? Like you'll walk into Kmart and you'll be like, "Fuck, there's no Siege figures. I could probably get a bot."
Well, that's what happens when I go into Target because I've already been to Kmart and Big W and there's nothing.
Yeah.
Target's the last resort.
This is how it starts. Before you know it, you're going to have a little shelf set aside for them all.
Yeah, Studio Series, Megatron, and Brawl. Okay, bots, where are they?
Yeah.
But they do display good with the McDonald's figures, and that was one good thing at Nerdmania. After the last few conventions, the McDonald's Happy Meal toys are probably the single most recognizable thing that we do have on display, and having bots with them this year has just been an added bonus just to show that where things were, where they are now, and all that. So yeah, well, I can get those $15 5-packs, whatever they are. I'll keep on getting some bots.
Yeah, no, fair enough too. I'm sure the little fella likes them as well.
When he doesn't lose them.
It's all right. That's why they're $15 for a 5-pack.
Yeah.
All right. That's about it. We talked briefly about club business at the beginning of the show. It is membership renewal season. If you are watching the show live, you've got about 2 days left until the end of July. Is that right? Yeah. You've got about 2 days left until the end of July. If you do renew your membership, you will be in the running to win a Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime, not released in stores here, but is an Amazon exclusive. You can get your hands on that figure simply by renewing your membership from $5. Otherwise, what do we got? Programming notes. Hangouts is abandoning us. We don't really know what form the next podcast is going to take. It will be on the audio feed, but we don't know how we're going to record it, so we'll work that out.
Yeah, worst case, we're on Skype, and the audio version will still go ahead. It's just you might not have a video to go to for YouTube.
Yep.
So what happens.
Besides that, what's this week? I think I've got two more episodes until I'm away for a couple of weeks going to TF Nation.
Oh, that'll be a good trip.
I may ask you to hold an episode so that in case just in case we get up to 198, I may ask you to hold an episode while I'm away so that I can be here for number 200. We'll see how we go.
Well, 200 would be good if it's live from
TF Nation. Yes, but no one will be awake because it's on the other side of the planet. So we'll see. We'll see. I might see if I can record something.
You underestimate the depths of my insomnia.
Yes,
I tried this last year and it did not go well. So,
that's right. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
might be a special live broadcast from Canada.
It's in Birmingham, but yeah.
Oh,
if someone's broadcasting from Canada, it's nothing to do with me.
Oh, I shouldn't have hung up.
All right, that is about it. If you're watching the live show, thank you for checking us out. If you're listening, thank you for checking us out as well. I guess the thanks is universal. You'll find out more about these stories, and there's a shit ton of links to Unicron stories in the show notes. If you want to get in touch with us, we are all hanging out in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook and other places. If you're not already subscribed, you can find us on iTunes, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Google Podcasts, and more. The RSS feed is on the website and in the show notes. That is transformersweekly.podbean.com. We're a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers who donate their time and money to make the club and life, let's be honest, better for everyone. Our goal is to connect Transformers fans around the country, and we do it by engaging the collecting community. One of the projects that we've actually launched this week is a national shop. I'm not going to call it a database. It's a big Google document that you can download to your phone if you are looking for shops in your local area. and check it out. So that's the kind of things that we do for the collecting community. You can find more information, including affordable yearly membership options to show your support for what we do at transformerscca.com. Memberships start at just $5 a year. That is it from us. We'll be back with more Transformers news this weekend. It is a Monday night, so we'll see what happens. There's been a bit of non-SDCC news that we can talk about as we go as well. So we'll see what we end up with on Friday or Saturday night.
Lovely. See you guys.
Bye bye.
Later.